When I look in the mirror, there's a man that I see who's been searching a lifetime for a way to be free, never knowing the darkness that was following me like a mutating virus, one that I couldn't see. And I breathed you in, and I fell again. I can see the end. Here I am now, I transcend. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I was searching for answers, they were there all the time, but I just couldn't see them. In my heart I was blind. I believed in your story, now I know it wasn't true. And I see who I am now, and I know what to do. And I'm breathing in, and I'll start again. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I can't do this anymore. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know that I let you go. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. I want you to know.
Coming to you from Nebula 6. Greetings. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Super excited to have you all. We got some, looks like we do have some new people. Oh, we got 2 people in the waiting room. Awesome. Let's make sure we get these people in. So today's what, day 16. We got some exciting news. Jamie doesn't know, but I'll announce it here in a little bit. Yeah, kind of picking up just volunteering, you know what I mean? But yeah, while we get rolling, want to hear and figure out where you guys are calling in from, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Zoom, just drop your location. If you're here on Earth, cool. If you're on another planet, awesome. Or city, state. We got Sweden in the house. Nice to see you, Powell. You're always on here. And welcome back to all the old people that have been joining us for the last 16 days. And welcome to the new people. Hopefully we don't scare you off. But if not, then it's just what it is. Oh, awesome. We got Blackpool, UK. Cool. That looks like that's a new person. Welcome, Tony. Hello, South Africa. Good to have you, Shelly. And sorry about the late email. We'll have those sent out a little bit earlier. And while we're waiting, if you can, we got London, UK, if you can, share this stream, no matter what platform you're on, with 5 friends. We really want to get this message out. And so just take a moment, copy the Zoom link. It should be, you can just send them bit.ly/IAMDIVINITY daily call. And Will, if you could drop that, just send that off to 5 friends. You don't even have to tell them where or what you're doing. Boise, Idaho. Just tell them, yeah, that you're, just tell them that just hop on, and you'll explain later. It's going to be worth it. That's literally all you have to say. So, we'll drop that in the chat really quick. Just send that off, text message, email, stream, share it, Facebook, whatever you want to do. Let's get as many people on here as possible. We got some exciting news. But yes, so today we were sitting, we went to the gym, our daily gym session, and then our daily massage. And I'm sitting, we're getting a foot massage, and I look over to Mr. Jamie, and he's just like, he just gets out of his chair and he's like, I got it. I'm like, what'd you get? He's like, we're gonna have the world's largest instant transformational event. Instant transformational event. So, if you don't know what we're doing here at I Am Divinity, you'll get a bigger picture here by the end of the call, or maybe you'll just be completely confused. I mean, we kind of speak a little bit of different language, but hopefully you can keep up. So what we do here is we help people create freedom within. And I like to say, like, once you have that freedom within, like, all of the other things, all of the different puzzle pieces that you're looking for, whether it's the money, whether it's the health, the relationships, whatever it is, they just naturally start to fall into place. And so, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sam Hidja, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at I Am Divinity. And I'll give you a little tidbit of my story. And I shared it yesterday, but I'll just, for all the new people, it was only like a couple of months ago. I was in a super toxic marriage, was literally contemplating jumping off a 48-floor building. I don't say that lightly, like, I legit. And I've never been that kind of person. Super positive my whole life. The entrepreneur, built up the mindset. As Jamie likes to say, my fishbowl went from a fishbowl to an aquarium. So here at I Am Divinity, what we help you realize is that you created that fishbowl or the aquarium, and we're helping you step into the ocean. And so, yeah, we're super excited to have you guys, to have you just feel what we feel on a daily basis, to experience life in a whole new lens, to embrace the unknown. Like, every single day is just magical. Every moment's magical. And it wouldn't be possible if it weren't for, I'd say, the determination and just the willingness, the openness of Mr. Don Smith, which you'll get to hear from today, which is, we never know when he's here. He literally is like a ghost, like here one moment, gone the next. just getting picked up in his UFO. But yeah, he had for the last 44 years has really figured out how to help people have instant transformations. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, imagine someone having cancer for 20 plus years and in one session it's gone. Or working with some of the billionaires that you look up to, and them, like, trying to figure out and get contracts that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and after like an 8-minute call, like, bam. Or or any of the other stories, which we never know what's going to come out. Like, none of this is ever planned. We don't have a teleprompter behind here or anything. It's literally just coming straight from our heart. So stay tuned. And what I'll do next is I'm gonna bring up our CEO, Mr. Jamie. I usually, from my network marketing experience, used to try to edify him and put him in a box, but I'm not gonna try to do that. This guy's just amazing. He actually invited me. It's been like 3 weeks now. I was in Bali, and he's just like, dude, come over here. And it's been wonderful. He's an amazing guy. I mean, I don't think he identifies as that, but
no,
nor does he identify as Jamie. So I'll bring him up here and I'll let you hear from him. So thank you guys. And Mr. Jamie, will you come up here?
Is that me?
That is you. I like the shirt.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Sam.
Yes, sir.
As always. Sam's been here, what,
Right.
about 2 weeks?
3 weeks now.
3 weeks.
What is time?
Yeah, it feels like a lot longer, for sure. So yeah, my name is Jamie. If you don't know me, I am an ex-narcissist. And Don choked on his water. Also an ex-alcoholic, ex-weed addict, sex addict, caffeine addict, money addict, personal development addict. I think I'm probably missing a few, but those are the majors. And it wasn't until Don Smith that I had my instant and permanent transformation. And usually at least a few people get a little caught up with, like, what do you mean instant? Like, how does that work? I don't believe that shit. And of course, after 15 years of personal development and all of the spiritual programs you could think of, and living in California and going to like the spiritual centers in Bali and all of these spiritual leaders, and then multiple religions and all of this, and every day I was, information addict, getting in the content so I could be a better me. And after doing that daily for decades, when this crazy guy with blue eyes comes along and says, you can have it all instantly, I'm like, okay. So I get it. But I was in so much pain at that point, and I'd been searching for so long. And I also recognized something very different about Mr. Don Smith. So the best way that I've heard him help you wrap around your intellect with the instant piece and the permanent is the idea of a phobia. So a phobia, an intense fear. If you have a phobia in the chat, and you feel honest and open, just type in the phobia, or maybe someone that you know. Doesn't have to be you, but just type in a phobia. I'll use that as an example. So, like, spiders, snakes, ladders, heights. What about the ones I had that I didn't know I had them? Phobia of intimacy, phobia of rejection, phobia of success, phobia of my light. How about any of those? How about the phobia of death? And don't say you don't, because I know some of you are wearing 3 masks still. 5 years, 5 years later. Okay, so anyway, I'll use the example of spiders. Okay, rejection. Thank you, Rebecca. The phobia of rejection. So I don't know about you, but I went through, I don't know, close to 1,000 relationships, probably. Let's just say 100. Yeah, that was just last year. Just kidding. So imagine how well you would do in a relationship with a phobia of rejection. Imagine how open your heart would be. Imagine how long that would last. Because as we've spoke about before, so let's take the phobia of seaweed, like my sweetheart Nina, my fiance, had. So the phobia of seaweed, she literally couldn't even go into the ocean because she had a phobia to seaweed, an intense fear, and she thought she would die. Doesn't make any logical sense, I know. But do you think you could intellectually tell her, like, don't worry, the seaweed, it's not poisonous and it's not going to hurt you and it can't do it? No, it doesn't matter. If a seaweed touched her leg, she's running for the hills. So then it's like, okay, well, how long have you had that phobia? So in her case, it was like as long as she could remember, right? As a young child. Okay, well, how long did it take you to create that phobia? Oh, it happened in a moment. One experience, 1 second. So did I hear instant? So you were a young child without any training and no crazy guy with blue eyes named Don Smith. And yet you instantly created a phobia that lasted how many years? Years, decades for some of you. Your whole life for some of you. So that's the permanent, right? Instant and permanent. There it is. And so Don has, over his 40 years of dealing with all of his phobias and traumas, got to the core of everything and worked with thousands of other people, all walks of life, from the federal parole contract in Canada, working with serial killers and rapists and armed robbers, all the way up to the professional sports teams and the multi-billionaires. And guess what? Every single one of them had some type of phobia, some type of trauma that happened. So anyone that didn't put it in the, I know you're lying. Yourself, or like me, just completely unaware, like completely unconscious that you have it. So I'll use a good friend Nua, who flew in the other day, as an example. We were at the gym, and Nua goes over and he gets one of those, pump dump, so you don't die, the sanitizers, and he puts it on his hands, right? It's ready to work out. And I go, Nua, why did you put poison on your hands? Like, what? He's like, yeah, why did you poison your hands? Oh, well, I'm kind of like a germaphobe. I'm kind of germophobic. I said, yeah. I said, kinda, or you are? Yeah, okay. So Nua, can you, and we were already talking about many examples, and it was like, Nua, can you see how deep down that's what are you saying you're phobic of the germs of? Oh, the phobia that you're gonna die. And so that's, I mean, how would he have even been aware that he has a phobia of germs, right? So that's what we're talking about here, because if we can pull up the consciousness scale, the average on the planet right now, or the plane, whatever it is, this dimension, is 210 out of what we thought was 1,000. 210 out of 1,000. So do the original. Don't scare them away yet. Thank you. Okay, so 210. So and that's the average of the entire population. And the ones that are on the higher levels, they counteract millions of people. So for me, as example, before I worked with Don, I was at the level of 125, the level of desire. So I was always disappointed, and I was a slave to my addictions. Created disappointment over and over again, whether it was a lost relationship, a lost business, didn't matter. There's infinite ways to do that. And then I was protecting myself so I wouldn't be disappointed. That's the phobia of rejection we're talking about, isn't it? Or the phobia of success, or the phobia of your light. So not too long ago, our mission was to get everyone to 700. And to give you an idea, Dr. Hawkins, who developed this map of consciousness, said the average human raises 5 points in a lifetime. Like, how crazy is that? Like, I would have went from 125 to 130. No wonder I had addictions my whole life. Even after all that personal development, even after all the spiritual programs, even after all the religions and getting baptized and getting prayed on and having the Holy Spirit enter my body, and the plant drugs, those were good. They're good. They're for a good time, not a long time. They lasted about 12 hours. I don't know, a couple hours. And none of it worked. I still, when I got back to my natural self, I was at the 125, addicted to everything. Chasing that high of who I truly am, that pure light, that pure consciousness that you saw, 700 to 1,000. So we were joking the other day, and our jokes are always truthful. So it's funny, but it's true. That if you max out the intellectual programs, whether it's spiritual, religion, it doesn't matter, personal development, you're maxing out at 400 on the scale. 400 is logic and reason. You can't go past it. And these are the smartest people on the planet, the idols, right? The Elon Musks of the world. 400. 499, okay, if you really want to stretch it. But after 499, you can't use the intellect. Now, can we pull up the chart beyond the chart? So we were laughing like, okay, even if you're at 400, the absolute like max in all those systems, that's 400 out of 1,000. So like 40% of your capability, the 40% of who you really are. Like, that's a failing grade. You're probably going to have to do this thing again until you get it. So kudos to you on the call. You're at least tempting to get there. But look at this. Don't stop at 1,000. We're looking at 50,000 to infinity. Now, how ridiculous does your 400 look versus 50,000? Yeah, that's definitely a failing grade. We're definitely not going to do that one. So, Don, just about a minute ago, it always takes him a little longer to share his intense downloads. And as soon as he tells me, I'm like, oh, gotta go live, gotta tell everyone. So he looks over at me and he goes, I heard that I am the supreme Godhead. And I said, fuck you, Don, so am I. So we're not here to say any of us are better than anyone else. We're here to just show you all of the crazy mazes and detours we went through to realize all of this. And so that you know you have the exact same power. But for some of you, you're denying that power because the ego has got you so wrapped up being a victim. So what's the positive intention behind being a victim? Well, the ego is going to tell you that's how you get love. That's how you get love. By being a victim, so everyone will take care of you. That's how you take zero responsibility. And so the best example I have of holding on to the victim is my good old friend Joshua. Some of you have heard of him, the one in the walker. His whole identity is around it. His brand is the walking legend. Okay, just to give you an idea. Because a few years ago, he got in a car accident, lost ability to his legs. Doctor says he wouldn't walk again. But, you know, Joshua is the type of guy that reads the Think and Grow Rich and, you know, positive mindset. So he's like, I'm going to get there. And within a few months, he's able to get into a walker. But it was 4 years he was in that walker. Zero progress. Get that video ready? I'm just going to show you just how ridiculous it is. The day after he works with Don, he throws his walker and sprints on an open field. Thanks, Will. You got sound on it too? Here you go. Four years he was in this walker. And instantly, he's able to run. Yeah, the other one. Yeah,
Construct of the mind.
It's a construct of the mind, he says. He's running with his walker in his hand. The thing weighs about 50 pounds. I remember because I had to carry him around with it. When we traveled, he came down to Mexico. I had to carry him into the ocean because his legs wouldn't work. And prime example, because just a few weeks later, after that experience, Joshua blocks me on all social media, stops talking to Don, and that was, what, 2 years ago? And he's back in the walker, telling his victim story. And it's funny, he'll make a post online and then I'll comment with, with that video. And of course, and I try to do it, you know, like on our time when he would be sleeping, so it's at least up for a while. But as soon as he sees it, of course, he deletes it. And that's a prime example of the ego getting you so tricked up and trapped to the point where it has you ignoring that powerful experience you had and hiding from the truth. So as I said, Don reverse engineered the phobias for that instant and permanent peace. He also reverse engineered near-death experiences. So throw a 1 in the chat if you've had a near-death experience. I must have created about 18 of them before I met Don. And 2 after. Knew I had 3. I don't know what that means, Powell. I don't speak Spanish. Well, I do, but that's not Spanish. Anyway, I'll give you just one of mine before I met Don. So I was in LK, had 2. So I was in Panama and I was solo traveling, and we were at one of these, it's called, what is it called? Boca del Toro. It's like a little Caribbean island in Panama, just outside the city, a few hours away. And we're playing volleyball with the lifeguard on the beach for a couple hours. And then sun starts to set, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go wash off in the ocean, go for a dip. So I go out into the ocean, and all of a sudden, as I'm trying to come back in, the ocean's just taking me out. Just taking me out. And it was this riptide that was crossing over and really a lot of force just pushing me back. And I realized how far away I was from the shore, and I started swimming in, and no matter how strong I swam, and I'm a pretty strong swimmer, I just kept going further and further. And at this point, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm trying to call. There was 2 or 3 guys on the beach, one of them being the lifeguard. It was so intense that when I looked at the guys calling for help, I saw the lifeguard look, and he was about to come in, and then he stopped. He literally was like, I'm not even gonna go there. Like, this guy's done. So I saw that no one was coming to save me. And I'm like, okay, well, and they're trying to tell me like, oh, swim to this side, with the current. And I'm trying, doing my best. I'm running out of breath, and I'm getting like washing machined with the ocean every few seconds. And there was a point where I just, okay, if like this is it, and I just let go. I just totally surrendered. And all of a sudden, my foot touched the ground. And I can't even explain it because of how far I was out and how I had been getting washed up, and like it was very deep. But I touched the ground, and that gave me this second wind, like, okay, like I got the power to get in. And sure enough, I did. And those near-death experiences can be very enlightening, to say the least. And again, that's what Don spent years at reverse engineering, so that in a moment he can do what we did to ourselves in the negative and reverse that, so that you're using all of that power in the positive. And if you're still thinking, I remember Don said something that hit me really hard when I first met him. He said, yeah, your negative beliefs and your positive beliefs, they're both toxic. What the hell is he saying? Like, screw you, man. For 20 years, I've been trying to go from negative to positive. Every day I'm doing personal development so I can get my mindset into positive. Yeah, 20 years later, and he challenged me on it, like, so how's that working? I'm like, hey, good point, man. It fucking hasn't. Still got all my addictions, maybe moved up 5 points on the conscience scale. So it's a deep knowing, and until you move beyond the intellect, all of this is just words, and it can sound like Chinese. I know when Don spoke to me before I had the experience, I literally didn't understand a word. It was just this knowing that I don't know what he's saying, but I know I got to do this. And that might be the case for some of you, because you just can't get there with the intellect. As Sam and us have been going back and forth with, the intellect is that fishbowl. Imagine you're the goldfish, and you've been living in the fishbowl your entire life. And then maybe you were like us and did a whole lot of personal development, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, made the millions, lost the millions, did all that. And you're like, look at my fancy fish tank I got from the bowl to the tank. And then like the top ones on the planet got a whole home aquarium. But we're trying to tell you there's an ocean. And then for those of you that have been through the program and the ego's messing with you, this is how ridiculous it is. It's like you're swimming in the ocean, and the ego tells you you need to get out of the ocean and go to the kiddie pool to get wet. Like, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing with your intellect, whether it's reading another book. So imagine you're swimming in the infinite intelligence, and then you're like, I got to get out of the ocean here. I got to go and read a book to get a little information. get a little answer. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing with the money. That's what the ego did to me. The ego said, you got to get out of the ocean where everything exists, where there's infinite supply of everything, money, intelligence, everything you want, all of it is there. But you need to get out of the ocean and go to the pool to get the money. Like, how ridiculous is that? Doesn't make any sense. So with that, I'm going to bring up Don before he flies to the mountain. We're actually super excited. We're going to be going to Divinity Mountain tomorrow. We have Starlink. Is it set up? Is it activated? We'll get another one. See how the ego goes, but we don't have the generator, so you can do it. Okay, we'll get another one. So we will have 2 generators aside from the one we have. We have Starlink satellite internet, and we're going to be broadcasting live tomorrow on top of Divinity Mountain, which is above the clouds. I'll have to figure out the lighting too, because it'll be nighttime. The generator will make that work. Yeah. Anyway, we'll make that happen. We're super excited for that, and we will see you from there. But until now, we got Don in the home, and he'll take it away and share some ET technology and how we changed the weather 68 times. And I remember when I first heard that, I'm like, fuck you, I gotta see this for myself. You're not gonna believe that someone can change the weather until you actually do it. Like, it's just like, come on. As much as I trusted Don and everything he was saying, which is why I even attempted it, that one was hard to believe. Like, come on, a wall of rain, you stopped. Like, come on. I believe everything else, but not that. Until I did it. Wow. So anyway. And then the world's largest instant transformation will be happening. We're getting the dates locked in, but the end of April. About 3 months from now, we'll be having the world's largest instant transformation event in the world's largest indoor arena here in Davao, Philippines. You're all invited. There's plenty of room, 75,000 capacity and 150 hotel rooms inside. So only 150 of you are going to stay overnight with us. Yeah, the VI. Jeez. Only sound good. Adios, guys.
Well, good evening here. Good evening. Good morning to you. I've been doing a lot of I'm not sure what you call it. Evolving. This would be the right word. Evolving, and I spend a lot of time in my divine focus and being in a state of oneness with the divine. And I get these crazy downloads, and one of the things that I've been working on for, I don't know now, maybe a year, 2 years, I'm not sure. It was like I just, when people ask me my age, it's like I'm forever young. No. Like, what age are you? I told you, I'm forever young. No, seriously, like, tell me your age. I said, I am telling you your age. You're not listening. I'm forever young. And there's something that I've been working on lately, like just about 10 days ago. I had to see this lady every day for me to purchase this vehicle that I was getting. And because I can't get my money out of my bank in Canada, I had to do these weird ways of paying for things. And anyway, I met Thursday was the last day that I had talked to her. And then Monday was the next day. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And when I went to see her, she said, "What happened?" Okay, like, what are you talking about? What did you do? What happened over the weekend? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. Said, "You look so young from Thursday." And this is Monday. And so it was a great confirmation. And, you know, one of the things that I love about this being in the light is little kids, they can see it. They can see it. They can recognize it. And I was just telling the story here tonight. Since I got here to the Philippines, I purchased 3 mountains. Now, I know that may sound a little bit weird or ridiculous or whatever, but I did, and 2 of them they both have gold in them, and so they're Gold on Mountain. Gold on Mountain 1, Gold on Mountain 2. That's Dawn with 2 N's. And then I have Divinity Mountain. And what's crazy about this Divinity Mountain is that it's almost like somebody went to another planet or something. Like, everybody is talking about this Divinity Mountain. And I had just finished, well, we're not quite done, another 3 or 4 days of this bamboo house that I built on there. And like Jamie says, it's above the clouds. It's literally above the clouds. And from the far right to the far left, as far as you can see, they've guesstimated that it takes approximately 4 hours to drive that distance. That's the size of the vision that you can see standing on top of Divinity Mountain. And now there's groups, like government officials are coming tomorrow, want to meet me and want to stay overnight on Divinity Mountain. And it's like, wow, this is awesome. This is awesome. And so it's really exciting, all the things that are happening. But coming back to that lady, what she saw on Thursday and then on Monday, wondering what happened and how did I get so youthful? Now, she didn't hang around for the answer, but she certainly recognized it. But coming back to this piece I really love, which is I was looking at this dirt bike to go up to Gold on Mountains, because it's like, I mean, the ruts are this deep, like, it's like, seriously, and it's a big climb. Anyway, I was looking at a dirt bike at the Honda, and I come out and there was a guy there with the identical bike. And I said, "Oh, wow, that's a nice bike. How do you like it?" "Oh, do you want to take it for a ride? Here." And gave me the key. It just, there, go. So, okay. And I ripped up the highway and come back. And then I was going back in to the Honda store. And there was 5 women coming out. 5 women. And one of them had a little baby. I'm guessing maybe 2 months, somewhere in that vicinity. And they were, you know, a distance away, and I'm walking towards them and they're walking towards me. And then this lady with this 2-month approximate age young baby said, "Oh my God, my daughter has not taken her eyes off me." You, would you like to hold her? And gave me her baby. Complete stranger. Here. And yeah, so like the kids, they don't have any of these filters. They don't have any filters at all. None. And they can recognize it. I've got, like in these villages that I'm staying in with different families, and they're all of these kids are calling me daddy. You know, they have papa or something like that for their real father, but yeah, it's like what the point I'm making is they can recognize the light. They can recognize the light. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, is to access our light. Now, how bright that is and whatever, what size, all I'm saying is there is no limit. And I'm working on something right now, and Jamie just cornered me here about half an hour ago and trying to get me to spill the beans of how I look so much younger. Actually, 3 or 4 mentioned my youthfulness. Since yesterday, Jamie said. Yeah, so like that's, but it's definitely not studying and reading and, you know, all of that. It's like, yeah, no. I got, when I spent 8 days, I think it was, with Dr. Stephen Greer in 2012, and spent time with the extraterrestrials. And I got broken. I like, okay, there's no such thing as normal here. There's no such thing as normal, and I'll share that because it's similar what I experience as to what most people experience when they hear what I'm talking about. And Jamie so eloquently described it this here, like instant transformation. And everybody's instant transfer, instant and permanent, instant and permanent. No such thing. And yet, guess what? Guess what? Like Jamie said, how many of you have a phobia? How long does it take to create a phobia? That amount of time. That amount of time it takes to create a phobia. And then it's like, okay, and I did that when I was 3 or 1 or 3 months or whatever. And now I'm questioning this guy that says there's something that happens in a second. And that you already did it. For those of you with a phobia, you already had your instant and permanent transformation. So, like, what is it that's so difficult about this if you've already done it? And I would guess roughly, just roughly, from working with so many people over so many over years and whatever, I'd say about 85% have a phobia of something. 85% of the population has a phobia of something. And I'll guarantee you it happened in an instant. And up until meeting me, it was permanent.
I joined the call 20 minutes ago and said they heard your voice, but their first thought was, that's not Don. That man's a lot younger.
And so you stop. And so what I'm telling you is there's a way for you to be free. To be free. no restrictions, not looking at my bank account, not wondering what the government's going to do tomorrow morning. It's like, I was working with my niece here the other day, and she's, yeah, like, you know, they're after me for this, and they're after me for that, and they're after me for that. Kelly, just tell them to go fuck themselves. Like they can't take blood out of a stone. Go enjoy your life. like, like, you know, just go enjoy your life. Like, forget about, like, they don't have any power. They're just intimidating you. Like, what are they going to do? Throw you in jail? Like, what? And anyway, so like this here, instant and permanent. So if it's instant and permanent for the negative, and you knew how you did that, would it not make sense that you could reverse it in the same amount of time? Like, doesn't that make logical sense? Logical sense. Yes. And so, yes, there's things that you have to do to have your transformation. And your intellect is going to do everything it can to stop you from experiencing that. Because it wants to be in charge. It wants to be the one making the decisions. Now, why it took me so long is, like, I had all these programs and all of these patterns. And that's how I found out about them.
What happened?
I don't know, Lynn. They dropped the caller somehow.
We can't hear you guys. Don,
The government got him.
it's the chat button. Hopefully they're coming back.
Well, you're on the camera right now, so maybe you should just take over. Come on, you can do it.
That's what I was thinking, Linda. Get going.
Get on the camera, guys. Why are you incognito? Come on, show your beautiful selves. Show that
I'm
light.
driving,
Let's
so-
go.
I thought Don looked like a totally different person. I couldn't believe it. When I signed on, I thought, who do they have on today? And then he started talking because I was on, I couldn't hear it before I saw his face. And I was like, who is that? Like, completely, just so weird. And then he started talking about his transformation, or this other woman who thought he looked more youthful.
Yeah.
So you look beautiful, Linda.
Well, thank you. I'm staying in the positive light.
Yes, you are.
Circumstances are circumstances, and they're not going to get me down. There you go.
That's right.
Does anyone have anything to share about doing the program? No?
The hardest thing for me is doing the 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of IM. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I can cover this. What, it shouldn't be that hard. But it's like, then I see my mind thinking, even though I'm still saying it, and I'm saying it, but my brain just keeps going too. Does anybody else have that problem?
Do you meditate?
No.
Okay. Be kind to yourself, I would say, and just keep doing it. That's the ego coming in, telling you that you're not enough, you can't do it, all those stories. Just recognize it and just go back to, are you doing it with your eyes closed or open? Are you walking or seated?
Yeah, that's probably a lot of the problem. A lot of the times I'm laying down, like before I go to bed or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. I mean, I do that and I tend to fall asleep. So sitting up kind of helps. Mary Ann can probably add some good comments. She's a longtime meditator. So
Well, I think you did a beautiful job, Linda. I think the words that you're feeding yourself have to be in alignment with the exercise that you're doing. So notice your thoughts, maybe jot down the thought that you're having as you're doing the exercise, and then just consider the thought. Look at the thought and what is the thought? Where's the thought coming from? And then give the thought permission to go away. And you'll notice that if you read back, maybe a week later, you'll see a lot of progress, and that will give you a lot of fuel for belief in yourself as well. So I'm not the best at writing things down. I kind of I'm working on that. It's a resistance I have to this thing. But lately I've been reading back over my notes, and I'm growing exponentially as a result of it. And so I think if you're struggling with anything, writing it down. For instance, I wrote something the other day, and then I went back and I looked at it and I thought, wow, was my ego on fire right then? Like, wow, holy cow.
Yeah.
And so then I was able to say, I forgive you. I don't know if you know the Ho'oponopono prayer, but Ho'oponopono prayer, but that's a great prayer to use when you're preparing for something like that short meditation, and just to get your mind calm. And then and when I looked at those words and I thought, wow, those words aren't true. And what did I believe about those words that made them true when I wrote them? And then I looked at my ego state, and I forgave it. And I said, I prefer to be light. I'm divinity, I'm divine. I'm a light being. I am not that being that came from old energy, and I'm moving forward.
Great.
So that's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah, and I would just say, just keep doing it. That's what and the ego wants us to stop. So we have to be kind to ourselves and just keep going. I don't know if Don's coming back.
It's possible they think they're still being recorded and they're still on, but
Well, I'm going to sign off and do Don's work. Bye, y'all. Much love.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, so this is very interesting. We are in a power outage, but we're the only home on the street to have the power outage, and we have solar backup, but all of that synchronicity is stopping us right now. So I'm gonna put Dawn on just to continue with the audio and see how long this goes. Pass them over. There you go, bud. Finish your thoughts there, I'll listen. Just talk to the phone, like a phone call.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Nice try, Ego.
Yeah, the ego certainly does a lot of tricky things trying to prevent the light from shining. And so what I want you to focus on is, especially those of you that have phobia, how powerful you had to be. How powerful you had to be at, even in the womb, or at 3 months, or a year, or 5 or 10, creating a phobia.
Put the video on.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So, think about that. As a little child, yeah, I had my phobia, I was in the womb, and my dad wanted a girl and I was a boy, or whatever, and so I was never good enough, never good enough, never good enough. That kind of thing. And it's like, wow. So why would we have difficulty with instant? Because the phobia is instant. And there's probably 85% of you on the call that have a phobia. So you did that. And even though the one you might be aware of is in your teens or 20s or 30s or whatever, there's one earlier, always. And so how did I do that at such a young age? So how powerful am I? How powerful do I have to be to create a phobia? Like in my case, it was I was 3, and I lived in the country. I was in Prince Edward Island in Canada, Eastern Canada, and on PEI, the Prince Edward Island, the soil is red, like a red. And I had a security blanket. Now think about that, security blanket. Okay, so what's a security blanket? It's the blanket that gives me a sense of security. Okay, so here I am dragging this blanket around. It's pink in color, and I call it Pinky. And so my mom, at the ripe old age of 3, decided I no longer needed Pinky, my pink blanket. And so unbeknownst to me, she hid it on me. And once again, I lived out in the country, and I just moped around looking for Pinky, looking everywhere for Pinky. And then one day I'm rooting through this closet, and guess what I find? I find Pinky. And we had an old farmhouse, in the kitchen and dining room was one big room just separated by an archway. And that day, my mom and a couple of brothers and sisters were sitting over kind of near where this closet was. that I had found Pinky. And I come out, here I am 3 years, 9 months. And I come just with the most absolute amount of energy and excitement you could imagine. And I am going with my pinky going like this, like a lasso, woohoo, found Pinky, I found Pinky, I found Pinky. And I go around the kitchen and dining room, one round, and then the second round. And my mom was the boss. Like she was the boss. And the third time I'm coming around, and Mom said, that'll be enough of that. Jumped up out of the chair, put her hands on my shoulder, stopped me in mid-tracks, pulled the blanket out of my hand, tore it into shreds and threw it in the stove. It was all gone, like boom, instantly, like in seconds. Well, that experience, that instant experience, I drag with me everywhere. Everywhere. And I didn't know that that was, you know, and here was the core belief, happened to be a negative one, core belief that don't get too happy, don't get too excited, don't show your emotions, don't show people. Keep that all inside because it will be destroyed. You will be destroyed if somebody finds out how excited you'll be. And so I never allowed it. I would get 40% of the way, 60%, 80% of the way to something, and I would sabotage. I would sabotage. And I did. And so I did all these programs. Like I did reality therapy, choice theory, got a certification in teaching level, and I got a master's level in neuro-linguistic programming. Like I did so many programs, and none of them worked. So I was my own guinea pig through all of this. And I know where they fall. I know all of these pieces. I've experienced them. And this whole thing about people having, because they're in their intellect, and they're trying to figure out what I'm saying. They're trying to figure out what he's talking about. And yet, you had a phobia. Those of you that have a phobia, it was 1 second. It wasn't 5, it wasn't 8, it wasn't 13. It was 1 split second. And you had this instant shock. Boom! And whatever that was, got locked into your nervous system, not your intellect. Not your intellect. And your 100 trillion cells, do you hear what I just said? Your 100 trillion cells instantly responded to that new program, which was devastating. And then there's all of this watching and waiting and for the next shoe to drop, the next bound, something's going to be taken away. And you just keep repeating, over and over and over and over and over. And wondering why, you know, you took this program and you took that one and you took this and you took that and whatever. But it was still there. And that's the kind of thing that needs to be flushed out. Flushed out. And it was underlying for my addictions, my codependency, all of this stuff. And like giving all of my energy away to be loved and to be liked and you know, and at the same time be ruthlessly driven to be the best. And I'd get 3/4 of the way and 3/4 of the way, boom. 3/4 of the way, boom. And that's how this works. And so the whole idea is to not intellectually remove this, but neurologically in the same way, only in reverse of how you created it. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And so that's the instant. Now there's the permanent. So everybody's after me with instant and permanent. Well, some have this reason. Yeah, it didn't last. It didn't hold. It's not permanent. Well, it is permanent if you do the exercise, the divine focus. And the ego wants back in. Okay? When you're in your light, there is no ego. It's around, but it doesn't have any hold. It's like water on a pane of glass. Okay, rain on a pane of glass. You're not getting wet. And so it's like, okay, instant. Now, if it was permanent in the negative, doesn't it make sense that it could be and would be permanent in the positive? But remember too, like Jamie had mentioned earlier about beliefs and the traditional model, 98% of the programs out there are taking you from the negative beliefs of who you think you are or your world to the positive beliefs. I'm not good enough. I am good enough. I'm not worthy. I am worthy. I'm not loved. I am loved. On and on and on and on. But they're intellectual and they do not hold. They do not hold. I know that personally. I'm telling you, it's been 44 years me working on Dawn. 44 years, not 44 months, 44 weeks, 44 days, 44 hours, 44 years. Extracting these and figuring out what worked and what didn't and why it didn't. And I was my own guinea pig and have been all this time. And, you know, I'm working on something right now that's, it's a little hard to find words for it. But Jamie with his poking around and finally it kind of cornered me tonight to try to get me to download what it is that's been happening for me. As they're saying that the change has been dramatic since the last time they saw me, which is 24 hours ago. And so yeah, I've never stopped. I've never stopped searching. Never stopped searching. And every time I work with someone, there's some tidbit, there's something this gift. You may get the gift. You will get a gift of your transformation, but I will get a gift because I'm gonna understand something in a different way from working with you. Now, whether it's this Janessa that like seriously, like here's this Janessa, 32 years of age. And she had spent in the last year more time in the hospital than out of the hospital. Now imagine paying that bill. Imagine what that bill would be. And she still had all her symptoms. Anyway, she came to see me, and I spent 2 weeks resisting working with her. Everybody kept, come on, Don, come on. Listen, boys, like seriously. She doesn't have what's needed for this. No, like, just try it. Just come on, Don. Like, just give it a shot. So finally, I okay. And at that moment, I had been staying with friends of mine in Coquitlam because I was getting ready to go to Cobble. And so it was downstairs. And here she comes, and I'm thinking, oh my God. If this doesn't work, I don't know how she's going to get back upstairs. Like, it was like just so frail. And just so, like, you'd swear, you know, my wife here in the Philippines, her grandmother died just the other day at 120. And I got to spend maybe 2 hours with her just 3 weeks ago at 120. And it was kind of like this Janessa. She looked like she was 120. And here she is, 32. And so down the stairs we go. We do the process. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. And when we were finished, I said, so Janessa, what you notice? She said, oh my God, it's gone. I said, what do you mean? What's gone? So I don't need to know all these things sometimes. The reason I need to know them sometimes is it lays out this map, like I'm putting a puzzle together. And this puzzle I'm putting together is the distorted perception you have of you and your world. And it's like your ears on your toenail. Okay, your nose is on your belly button. And it's all these toxic things that threw everything out of whack, threw everything out of synchronicity. And there it is. And so I realign that system. So coming back to Janessa, said, oh my God, it's gone. And I said, like, what's gone? She said, when I came here today, now remember, she spent more time in the hospital than out in the last year prior to meeting me. Imagine that. So 365 divided by 2, 180 days in the hospital plus. And no results. Most times they didn't even know what the symptoms were. So she said, and she went like this, said, and lifted the bottom of her blouse and showed me where it used to be that it was gone. And she said it was a bulge the size of my fist. And it's been there for a year. It's not there. It's gone. 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I didn't even know anything about that. She never mentioned it. Nothing. Okay? In the next year, the following year, starting that day, she went to the hospital once for some kind of a checkup. How crazy, amazing is that? So she was using all her power to stay small and shrunk and all of that and all the symptoms that went with it. And then, boom, all gone. In an instant. In an instant, like, now tell me how powerful that is. It just happened to be in the negative. And my guess is you're doing the same. Maybe not to that extreme. But yes, you are limiting you. You are refusing to allow yourself to be all of who you are for one reason or another. Or you've gone the other way and you're this gigantic egomaniac energy. Now I'm the best. I can do this. And oh, yeah, don't mess with me. And that's the opposite side of that coin. Okay, so I was a workaholic. I was the best at everything. Whatever I put my mind, all of these different careers that I had, I was the best. And all that was that not good enough. Trying to be the best, to be better than, to be the best. And no matter what it was, whether it was in sports or whether it was in career, okay, it all showed up. And then the other thing was, in school, they never taught me how I learned. Never once was I taught all the way through school how I learned. I repeated 2 grades. Like it was grade 4 and grade 7, I think it was. I was never taught how I learned. And then I went to trade school in Calgary. And all of a sudden, now it's like, oh my God, it's my hands. It's not a memorization. It's like, yeah. And the next thing I know, an example of that, they have Southern Alberta Institute of Technology and Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. So one's in Calgary and the other is in Edmonton. And they had this, what would it be? Like a prize or like being the best, the highest marks, whatever that would be called. I never did get them. And so there was 2 guys in my class, okay? They had the largest marks, the most marks in both NATE and SATE. So Northern Alberta Institute of Technology and Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. And 3 months after we all graduated, they were working for me. I built a Foothills Hospital Cancer Clinic, the Calgary Airport, a 10-story high-rise, a 13-story high-rise, an 18-story high-rise, a 33-story high-rise. And I had decided, because I was following my heart now, not following my head. And for a reason that there was no logic to it whatsoever, I made a decision that I was moving back to Prince Edward Island after being in Calgary for 10 years. And so they came. When I say they, it was the project manager, the head of human resources, and the head of Western Canada came to see me. And they said, we want you to stay. We don't want you to leave. So what we're going to do is we're going to let you put in overtime. You're not supposed to, because you're in the you're not on the tools. But we're going to let you do that. We're going to give you your own truck, and we're tripling your wage. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. And I took my wife, my son and daughter, my cat and my dog, and a camper on the back of my truck, pulling a 28-foot trailer, and drove across Canada, following my intuition. And none of it made sense, especially to my wife. Especially to my wife. Okay, imagine here I have this crazy, amazing career. I was to start finished after the 33 story. They already had me into a 78 story. Like, yeah. And I walked away from all of that to follow this radar that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I kept doing that, followed it, ended up working in addictions for 7 years under Dr. Leo Kamonen. I had a contract with federal parole. Like Jamie had mentioned, I worked with serial rapists, armed robbers, murderers. I worked with them all. everyone with all the addictions and everything. And then it was like, now I'm walking away from that. And my wife was just going berserk. Okay. First of all, I leave this Calgary with all of, like, this amazing career in front of me. Go back to PEI, get a job in addictions, work there for 7 years. Now I'm going out on my own with no one. Like, so I you know, obviously we had a lot of disagreements, but just that following that heart, not the mind. And that led me to all these different programs, and I took all these programs. Like I said, neuro-linguistic programming, reality therapy, choice theory, and some couple program, I forget what it was. It was for couples. I remember I went to see the guy in New York. Went to see him and my wife, and I was the first one that was allowed in his program that didn't have all the credentials, the PhDs and the six, like this and that and the other. I forget what the doctor's name was, and I went to him after. It was a weekend course for couples, and I went to him after, and I asked him, "Yeah, I'd like to take your program. I want to get trained in your program." He said, "Well, what education do you have?" I said, "A grade 12 equivalent." What in the hell's a grade 12 equivalent? You know, I got grade 12 by doing something different. And he said, okay, listen, I'll tell you what, you go back to PEI, wherever that is. And how did he word it? I'm going to talk to all my team, and give me a month and I'll get back to you with an answer. Dr. Harville Hendricks, that was the name of his name. And so 2 weeks later, I get a call from Dr. Harville Hendricks himself. "Yeah, Don, we decided to let you in as an experiment to be trained in I forget what the name of the program is, having to do with couples." He said, "But there's one condition." He said, "You're not getting away with one thing. You're going to have the highest marks. That's the only way that I'm going to let you in with this no credential stuff." I said, "Harville, I wouldn't want it any other way." And so I went to New York, and I got trained in this couples program. But that was me just driving, getting into it, like all of this. And yet it wasn't any of those. Yes, they gave me a sense, but now I can look at somebody, or I can see, like, it's like, okay, like, could you just hurry up and tell me your story, because I know what the answer is. So it was that kind of thing. And it's like, it's not intellectual. If there's anything I can say to you that would give you a sense of, it's not intellectual. The shift is instant. And if you do what you're meant to do, it's permanent. And all that is 10 minutes 3 times a day. 10 minutes 3 times a day. That's it. And then do that, and that holding, that neurocellular muscle gets stronger and stronger and stronger, because I gave the neurocellular exercise, bypassing the intellect. It's bypassing the intellect, not using the intellect. And so that's what this is about. It's like, okay, here's Pinky. And now we trace it neurologically to its origin. And then I've created a double sound technique to lance that emotional boy. And then reverse the process that you created. And it's gone. But if your identity's tied up, now I got to do all this other work because to get you to hold, because of the identity that you had tied in to all of this, doing this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever. And even though in many, many, many cases, the symptoms leave instantly. Instantly. Absolutely instantly. Okay? Like that's how powerful that is. That's how powerful you are. But you have to get out of this. You have to get out of this for this tool. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I had one lady, she was out of New York. And she's on my, she's gives a testimony on our website. And she had, listen to that, now she had a cosmetic product, and she had 850,000 people buying her cosmetic product. Okay? And she had 100 phobias. She uses those exact words. Said, my God, Don, like I had a minimum of 100 phobias. 100 phobias. You know how long it took for them all to be gone? That's the amount of time. So I found the one that started them all, found the positive intention, all of that, cleaned it all up, and boom, it was all gone. Now, try to get your head around that intellectually, because it's not that. And that's why these programs you took weren't holding, because you were doing them intellectually. And these are neurological. And then I had to realign the 100 trillion cells that were listening, eavesdropping on your intellectual program. That I'm not good enough, not worthy, I'm not loved, I don't deserve good things, I'm evil, I'm bad, I need to be punished. La 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 la. And that, if we did one at a time, it would take a lifetime. But if we can put them all in a bubble, all in a balloon, and all of our false toxic identities of who we think we are, which is either our negative beliefs or our positive beliefs, and all the time it's both. Okay? Now, where the problem comes in is your attachment to those identities or that identity. Okay? I'm evil, I'm bad, I'm no good, I don't deserve good things. La, 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 la. And that's what the ego is convincing you to bring back after it's all gone. And so there's the process. There's the process. And that's what I do. And I encourage you to decide, go inside and say, would I like to be free? Would I like to be free? Would I like to be free to be me? That who I truly am. Because I'm going to guarantee you something. Listen carefully. You cannot say, I don't know how to do that. Because I'm telling you, there was a time in your life that you were this beautiful, radiant, divine, glowing, heart open, your worth beyond measure, invincible and totally free. You have a minimum of one of those. And we just lock that in neurologically. Yeah, there it is. You're given a simple exercise. Keep track of the changes in bullet form. Send them in so we can monitor them as a team to keep you on track, to let you know, okay, you're gone sideways a bit, that kind of thing. And it's that holding. And the divine focus that I've created recently has been a significant value of being able to hold. Because once again, if something's not right, I just keep figuring it out. I never stop. And so there's something that an amazing treat that for you to take, that even the seasoned ones, like the Jamies, haven't experienced yet. And I look forward to sharing my new work with you. So there you have it. And
It's the end of the call because I'm going to bring Don outside to get his new work.
So I look forward to seeing you on our call whenever it is. You'll have to talk to somebody else because I'm not the person to know about that. So I'm glad we found an alternative for this blackout that the ego used to try to stop you from hearing what you wanted to hear or needed to hear. Because that's what that is. That is the ego. That is exactly the ego. And it will do everything it can to stop you from saying yes. Then it'll do everything it can if you say yes to try to stop you in midstream. And then it will do everything it can to get you to give it up after all of those things. That's the ego. That is the ego. And it's the false sense of who you think you are. I am going to show you who you truly are and show you how to lock that in and hold it for the rest of your life. You take care.
All right, awesome, guys. Thank you for being here. Just like Don said, right? Like the ego is going to try every single way. It's going to give you every single excuse as to why you shouldn't move forward, why you shouldn't do something. And your divinity, on the spot, we just came up with a solution. All right, Zoom, like use a phone. We got some light, and we came up with something. And that's how you need to really approach this process. You have to be all in, right? You can't be half in, half out. You're not going to just test the water. You need to be all in. And so tomorrow, like Jamie said, we're going to be streaming directly from Divinity Mountain. Super special stream. Maybe we're getting ready for tomorrow's stream. It's a little bit dark. Some lights kind of blinding me. But before I close out the call, what I want to do is if you're looking to do a one-on-one session with Don, go to transformwithdon.com and we'll drop that. Whether that's Don with two ends. Don with two ends, and Will's gonna drop that here in the chat. But just in case, I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to. It's gonna be TRANSFORM with Don 2ends.com, and we look forward to being a part of your transformation. And looks like, did we get it in? Okay, yeah. And Don was actually saying something as well as like the ego is going to try to get you off before you go through the transformation, midstream, and then even whenever you lock it in. I was getting a massage the other day. I'm like, dude, like, man, these guys hypnotize me. Like, to get the heck out of here. And then I'm like, yeah, they did, but self-induced at this point. But yeah, thank you for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow from Divinity Mountain.
Hold on.
No?
Hold on.
No? No? Oh, balloons.
Cool.
How did that happen?
That's cool.
That's really cool.
February 7th, the group event too.
Yes, we're gonna be doing a group event. We'll probably do it at Discovery, and we'll have it live streamed. So join us then, and then we'll announce a little bit more about the. We'll announce more on the what is it called? Oh, the world's largest instant transformation at the end of April. We just got to figure out the logistics. That Don's website's not working. That's what Linda says.
Transform with Dawn. That's John with 2 N's. Let's put it in the chat.
Noah says it's working.
I'm on it.
Transform. There we
That's
go.
because
See, trans. All right.
Let's see.
Yeah, that one doesn't work for some reason. Just try without the HTTPS.
Yeah, transform with Don. Transform with. Oops. With. One sec. Transform with. Yeah, it's kind of hard being a human nowadays. Okay, yeah, it works. Just don't put the HTTPS, just put transformwithdawn.com. That's it. Alrighty, well, see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
See you from Divinity Mountain.
Yeah.
See ya.
See you on the mountain.